Sorry about the change in video. My computer crashed, so we're gonna start over here. We have our table all filled out, and now we've got our pie chart that we need to make. So the first thing that I did was I actually found what I thought was the center of the circle, which I thought was about right here, and I put a dot there, and then I connected that line with the dot with a radius to the edge of the circle. That's important because we need that to help us set up our protractor as we measure our angles. And so you take your protractor, drag it down, line up those centers and that radius, and then you're going to measure it out to 72 degrees. And so if you look, there's two different places where you can start measuring. There's 0 and there's 180. You want to start at 0, and so we'll go all the way up. 70 is about there, so 72 is probably about right there. And I'm going to put a little line right there. I move my protractor out of the way. And now I connect that little line or that little dot that you make with another line. I only extend that to the edge of the circle though. So it's another radius. And then I would label that as vanilla. And I label as I go, otherwise it's really easy to forget which section is which. And so what you want to do next is you're going to take your protractor and now you're going to line it up on that center again. But you're going to turn it and rotate it. Line up those radii again. There you go. I gotta move mine up a little bit because my centers are off. Now I gotta move it down a little bit more. There we go. And now I measure it 101 degrees. So I start at 0, go all the way. Here's 100. 101 then is going to be about right here. I move my protractor out of the way. I draw my line. And you continue to do that all the way through. So pause the video here and then continue to make your circle graph. So your circle graph should end up looking something like this for your pie chart. The one thing that's missing from our pie chart right now is the percent. And so we always put a percent in a pie chart. And so what you do, that's why it's important to remember that there were 25 students that we polled. Our total was 25. And so we take our decimals, and really, if you remember how to get a percentage from a decimal, you take the decimal, you multiply it by 100, or you move the decimal over 2 places. And so for vanilla, our decimal is 0.2. If I multiply that by 100 or move it over 2 spaces, I get 20%. So pause the video here and go through and put those percentages. And so there you have it. We have our pie chart all made. We have all our percentages in that. So that is a pie chart. And so if you think about bar graphs and pie charts, similarities and difference. They're both talking about categorical data, the distribution of data. They need labels, they need a key, and they need a title. Just a reminder, I forgot to put a title on mine. Let's put a title on it. This would be Students' Favorite Ice Cream Flavors. Students' Favorite Ice Cream. Alright, and if we hadn't made a label each section, we could have color-coded it and made a little key on the side if we had wanted to. It's another way you can do this. So if you're comparing and contrasting, they also both need a title. Differences, a bar graph shows counts, and so it shows frequencies, and so it'll tell you that 7 people like this, or 3 people like this, and it's parts of a whole, multiple variables in different bars, and we're using rectangles. With the pie chart, it must represent 100%. You can't just leave out a category. It doesn't work that way. It's the whole broken down into parts. There's only one variable, and it ends up being a circle. And so here's the problem. It's the Harris poll. They conducted an online survey of 2,085 U.S. adults about cell phone use while driving. Over half of those who responded said that it is dangerous or very dangerous for someone to use a cell phone while driving. One survey question asked, how often do you talk on a cell phone while you are driving? Respondents could choose from the options always, sometimes, or never. And so this graph below, it shows the percent of those who chose always or sometimes by region in the United States in which they live. And so percent using cell phones while driving, remember that's always or sometimes, that's about 65% in the East, about 75% in the Midwest, about 75% in the South, and about maybe 72% in the West. And so if we look at this this data, do you think we could represent this data with a pie chart? want you guys to think about that for a few seconds. Pause the video and come up with a decision. And I would say that this specific data that this graph is representing cannot be represented with the pie chart. Now, if you want to come with a pie chart, we can come with a pie chart for the East and say, okay, well, this percentage said always, this percentage here said sometimes, and this one said never. We could do that for each individual, or we could do that for a whole for adults. But because these bar graphs each bar is representing the always and the never category, the always and the sometimes category, I would say that this data cannot be represented by a pie chart. And so your homework for today is pages 1 through 3 of your packet, and write a summary. So our essential outcome for today is that you'll be able to make both bar graphs and pie charts and be able to describe them. This is the end of day 1 of chapter 2A.